Greetings to all patriots and that wants to see another view than the mainstream media portrays. Today, we are diving straight into the global political situation that is unfolding at this moment. And don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the mainstream medias, because they want to paint their own picture of the world. And the truth is much, much darker, and especially for us in the West. We can start with the USA, Trump's revolution. What we're witnessing now is a historical thing. It's a kind of a change, a big change. Trump is back in power. He's using it as he should. He's doing what we hoped for in some ways. He's tearing down the corrupt old political state, the American so-called deep state, as they call it, and it's shaking to its core, and Trump dismantles it. But here's the uncomfortable truth we must face. While Trump fights this deep state or woke state or whatever you will call it, he simultaneously wears the Jewish hat, kisses the Jewish wall, and calls Israel the greatest ally. And this contradiction reveals the complexity of the struggle. Trump is simultaneously fighting against the globalist system while being captured by the very influence we're trying to resist. When Trump talks about globalists, we know exactly who he means. But yet he surrounds himself with Jewish advisors and family members. He fights the establishment but embraces the most powerful element of that establishment. And this is the paradox we must understand if we are to move forward. AIPAC, the Jewish grip on American politics. Now let's talk about what the mainstream media won't touch. AIPAC and its outsized influence on American politics. AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is by far the most powerful lobby representing the interest of a foreign nation in American history. Its influence is comparable to some of the more powerful lobbies in Washington, including gun, real estate, medical, pharmacy, and other lobbies. Lobbying is very special in the US. It has a deep historical roots and is protected under the First Amendment right to petition the government. It dates back to the early republic, with organized efforts growing in the 19th centuries, with the railroads, etc., and industrialization during the Gilded Age, and scandals like Credit Mobilier, 1870s, led to early regulations. It regulated by laws, Lobbying Disclosure Act 95 and the Honest Leadership Act 2007, thus requires registration and disclosure. There is some other lobbies, that is big example of this. National Rifle Association, NRA, was originally a marksman group founded in 1871. It became a major political force in the 1970s, spending millions on campaign and lobbying to block gun control. Then we also have the pharmacies, often top spender, hundreds of millions each year, influencing drug pricing and FDA rules through direct lobbying and PAC contributions. You also have a bunch of others. Lobbying is a bribing system. You are bribing someone to look away, to skip this action. Take it for example. You and me, I'm trying to sell you a car. I have a Mercedes and a Volvo. If I sell the Volvo, we can say that I make more money. And then, or I don't know, I influence Volvo to become bigger because my company, or whatever reason. And then you say, oh, what should I buy? I want to buy the Mercedes. And I say, no, buy the Volvo. I will give you some money if you buy the Volvo. Or I will give you some money if you skip the Mercedes in the checkup. That's the same thing. I'm paying you to look away. I'm paying you to pick my choice. That's basically what lobbying is. There could be people here coming here and trying to argue against it. No, lobbying is blah, blah. I don't care. Because this is literally what lobbying is. You're paying for them to look away. How does AIPAC maintain this control? They maintain it through financial power and strategic political engagement. AIPAC relies heavily on individuals support, mostly Jewish people that often have both citizenship. You get where it is coming to. And AIPAC's role in American politics reflects both like, I mean, it reflects its strength, because in the past, when company wasn't so big and etc., and was honestly less frequent to work against the people as they are today, that could have been the strength. But nowadays, it's more of a vulnerability of the nation's democratic system. Organized lobbying is a defining feature of the democracy in America, because it ensures, in a way, a variety of voices within the policymaking process. But however, this practice also exposes the tense relationship between influence and dominance, especially when significant financial power has the ability to amplify certain voices over others. It has gone from being kind of good, I still think it's not that good, but kind of good, to becoming something really bad, because now it's just the one with the most money gets their way. AIPAC's influence expands beyond foreign policies, significantly impacting the domestic political landscape and the shape of the US policies and political careers. I mean, if you have a congressman that ignores AIPAC, for example, I mean, the punishment is immediate. I mean, first, their funds that maybe they were going to get is directed to another politician, and later their reputation would be torn apart by gossip, leaked documents, anti-Semite, Nazi. You know how it is. That's what they say, and that's where they get their traction also. I mean, it's like, if you don't think like we want you to think, cut you off, basically. In the 2024 election cycle, AIPAC spent a record of $45.2 million to defeat two progressive legislators that was critical of Israel, Yamal Bowman and Cory Bush. And this is how AIPAC maintains control. They maintain it through financial warfare against any politician who dares to question Israel's interest. And what we are witnessing is not just about Israel. This Jewish communist connection, it's a broader pattern of Jewish influence in Western politics that's been developing for decades. The connection between Jewish intellectuals and communist ideology is very, very well documented, though rarely discussed in politics and news and discussions around the globe, because there's this stigma where you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, they put it out. And the Frankfurt School and its cultural Marxists were designed exactly for this, to destroy the Western civilization from within. From within. That kind of shows how it's meant to go. And how is it going? If you look at your own country, wherever you're sitting, wherever you're from, if you look at your own country, what is happening? What is changing rapidly? There you have your from within. And I will make other videos that discuss these topics a little bit more concentrated. But when you think of this, who is actually opposing the US influence over the politics? And this is a very critical question we have to address. Because if Trump, despite fighting this so-called deep state, still embraces Jewish influence, then who actually opposes it? And the truth is, the genuine opposition to Jewish influence comes from like smaller groups, or groups that are under the radars across the West, that aren't captured by this political system and this news. And it comes from right wing in Europe, who are waking up to the reality of their demographics changing drastically. I mean, they are getting demographically replaced. And they come from thinkers and people that is tired of it and doesn't care about being silent. Because before they silent them heavily, they still do, for speaking the truth. And in America, the most consistent opposition of Jewish influence has historically come from isolationists like Charles Lindbergh and American First Committee, who understands that entanglement in foreign wars serves interests other than America's. And today, the opposition is more from those who recognize that both parties are captured by the same influence, like Apex report both companies, which means that, there could be, Democratic and Republican. Yeah, there is a difference in a lot of stuff. For example, Democrats, woke, change genders, no borders. Republican, no gender change. Woke is just crap. Border patrol and border walls is very strong. So there is a big difference between them, but they're still under APEC. So it's like washing your clothes with warm or cold water. It's still water, just warm or cold. It's a bad example, but it works. And in Europe, in history, we have seen a very strong push against these Jewish hierarchies. Second World War, for example. And now it's more smaller groups that often get shit-shamed or people talk crap about them or whatever. Never want to discuss with them. Europe is in a very, very critical stage. The ruling elites are kind of in panic because the people are waking up. And in several countries, Denmark, Hungary, Slovenia, and Sweden, the parliamentary elections are being held in 2026, this year, where right-wing parties are expected, that's the thing, right-wing parties. For me, I wouldn't really call them that right-wing, but yeah, whatever. Because people are waking up. People are tired of being replaced in their own nations, being replaced in their own countries, being the second citizens in their own country. They are tired of seeing homeless Europeans living on the street, but Somalians coming into hotels. For example, England. And the EU's political integration has stalled, and it's not hard to understand why. When ordinary people see how their leaders are selling out their own national sovereignty to Brussels, they react. And France plans for military, for their own medium-range ballistic missiles program, show that even the major countries are beginning to realize they must take their own defense into their own hands. And as you see, Europe are rearming quite a lot. And what we are witnessing is a reaction to decades, I would say since World War II, Jewish-led communist subversion. The Frankfurt School and its cultural Marxists were designed exactly for this, to destroy Western society, Western civilization from within. But people are waking up to this reality, and I just hope it's not too late, and I hope we can change it for the good. And it's rising all across Europe. It's not an accident. It's a response of the poison of the communism and multiculturalism. You see all these countries, Germany, France, England. One is worse than the other. Sweden. It's crazy how it's going. As you know, we all see this, and we don't know if the number is actually correct. Are they actually just bringing in these people, or is it way more that comes in? How many illegals do we actually have? That's a big question. And the really scary thing is the Chinese. China is winning. They have focused on completely different things than Europeans. The EU focus on LGBTQ parades, climate alarm, stuff like that. And China, they're becoming an economic power, technology dominance. They're changing fast. Europe cannot really keep up, not like this, not at all.